Hello and welcome to another episode of Montcast. This week, Steam got into some stuff with the community reaction to some of the games on Steam, and then they finally took a stance on what they're going to do in the future. And then we also had DreamHack Austin over in esports, so without further ado, let's get into it. So if you spent much time on Twitch this week, you've probably seen some of your favorite streamers playing this vampire game, and you're wondering what it's all about. Well, essentially, as you probably figured out in watching those streams, you're a newly turned vampire, and as a doctor, you try to find a cure to the city's flu, and they made a video game out of that. So if that seems like it strikes your fancy, Vampire is incredibly popular right now, and you can get it for a little more than $20, or probably a little less than $20 in the States on Steam. So recently there was some community outrage targeted at Steam for a school shooter simulator that was available on the Steam store. And ultimately Steam decided that they were going to allow everything on Steam unless it was illegal or straight up trolling, in their words. I kind of, probably an unpopular opinion here, but totally agree with Steam's stance here. I don't necessarily personally agree that we need a place to get school shooter simulator games out to the masses, but if that's your thing, then you do you, and as long as you're still in front of a mouse and keyboard playing a video game, you can play whatever video game you want. Do whatever makes you happy. That's my opinion. And if that's running over people with cars in GTA, then fine. If that's playing Monopoly in Tabletop Simulator, cool. Do whatever makes you happy, and I am of the opinion that video games fall under the category of art, and therefore there's no wrong way to do it. However, there's a lot of people that seem to think that this specific game, we'll use this specific game here, was promoting school shootings. No, it's just another simulator, and there's a million simulators out there. And it may be simulating an event you don't want to watch, that's cool, or participate in, that's cool, you're not going to buy the game. But somebody else might enjoy it, so let them enjoy it. It's just a game, and get off your rocker, I guess. I'm going to turn you on to a new podcast here. It's a new one from How Stuff Works called Nerdificent, and they recently covered this and other stories on a Violence in Video Games episode, and I have my qualms with the podcast itself, but they really covered violence in video games really well, and I really highly recommend that particular episode. But I've now spent 3 minutes ranting about this one game, so moving on. Bungie announced a partnership with NetEase to the tune of $100 million, and they're not using it for a Destiny game. They are actually using it for a non-Destiny game that has yet to come out. So that's a pretty serious sponsorship deal, or partnership deal in this case, to be working on a non-Destiny game. So I'm excited about what Bungie has coming out. Probably not soon, because probably not soon, but I'm excited to see what they've got in the works there. E3 is coming up this weekend. Rumors are all over the place. If you care to read them, just Google E3 rumors and you'll get lots and lots of hits. But the actual event is this weekend and the following week. So by the next episode of Montcast, we'll have all the news. And the next episode of Montcast is probably going to be a little bit longer because of all the E3 news. New Diablo game. So people are very diligent about perusing job postings, especially from major developers like Blizzard Entertainment. And people deduced from a job posting on Blizzard Entertainment's website this past week that they are in fact working on a new Diablo game. And this has actually been blown up more than I thought it was going to. Just the news that there's a new Diablo game, yeah, that's great. But there's a lot more people, a lot more excited for this potential Diablo game than I thought there would be, especially considering it's probably not coming soon. There's a job posting on there that it is more than likely more than a year away, actually. So there's that. For those of you who play Overwatch, there's a double XP weekend this weekend. So if you're not watching all that cool E3 stuff and you'd rather play video games, you can play Overwatch for double XP. And back to Blizzard for a minute here. They did a tricky thing here. So there's a rogue in their latest patch, not their latest patch anymore, but in one of their latest patches, they changed how a card works. Essentially, one of the cards in the rogue Witchwood expansion would trigger it would trigger you to play all your non-rogue class cards again. They changed this to say that if this minion was destroyed, removed from the board, silenced, any of that the effects would stop immediately in the playing of all these cards, which is a nerf. Only people who play Hearthstone probably understood what I just said. But anyways, it is a nerf. And they've called it a nerf in the past, but they're not calling it a nerf anymore. So you can't get a full Arcane Dust refund for the card. And so yeah, the people that play that card in one of their decks are not happy about that. And that's video game news for this past week.
Have you ever tuned into an esports tournament or Twitch stream and wondered, what the heck is going on in this game? What team is even winning right now? The commentators are explaining what's going on using words that you've never even heard of before, and you've just felt lost? Worry not. Montcast presents a new series coming July 2018. Video Games Explained is a series that breaks down different video games for people who have never even heard of them and explains the fundamentals in plain English without the complicated gamer terminology so that you have an idea what's going on in those esports tournaments you watch.
Your indie game this week is Cultist Simulator. This is a unique combination of a card game and a crafting game, and obviously, as you can tell from the title, it's got some interesting story that goes along with it. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, as always, there's a link in the episode description to the Steam page for Cultist Simulator. And for esports, not a whole lot going on other than DreamHack Austin. So, DreamHack Austin, CSGO went to the Space Soldiers after over Rogue in the final, Optic Gaming is probably the biggest upset that they didn't do as well as they were expected to, because coming in, Optic and Space Soldiers were supposed to not walk over everybody, but they were supposed to win, and Optic didn't. Space Soldiers obviously did. Millennium takes the crown in Rainbow Six Siege. Cyril over Mana in StarCraft 2. And that is DreamHack in a nutshell. DreamHack Austin 2018, rather. So, over in the Overwatch League, playoffs are taking shape. If you are at all following that, you know exactly where your favorite team is, but the playoffs are actually, the overall playoff picture is actually pretty darn close. And the Overwatch World Cup process is still underway. They do have their community leads, I think, in all countries, maybe except for a few. But that's where we are in the World Cup picture. The actual tournament is a ways off. But, and we're starting to get rumors of who's going to be invited to certain teams for the Overwatch World Cup as well. I know XQC, Agilities, there's 5 of them that were getting invites for Team Canada, so. But yeah, that's about it in esports. Not much League of Legends. If you're wondering where the League of Legends content is, it's because there's not much going on. They are taking a well-deserved break. The spring split ended a while back. They did the mid-season invitational, but we're going to start ramping right back up for the summer split. This is one of the most exciting times of the year. I can't say it's the most exciting time of the year because that's Worlds in November, but we're going to find out here in the summer split who is going to represent each region as the number 1 seed in each region. So, yeah. There's that. That's about all we have for esports this week. Well, I'm going to leave you with subscribe so you never miss an episode. Listen on Radio Public mobile app, because every time you do, I get paid, especially if you listen to 3 episodes on the Radio Public mobile app. I get a full $1 for that. So that's pretty cool. And thank you to Approaching Nirvana for providing the background music in yet another wonderful episode of Montcast. I will see you all next week.